Fight fans, UFC 316 is coming up, and it's going to be a night of events you do not want to miss. The biggest names and the toughest battles, everything is on the line inside the octagon. I want you to join me in getting in on all the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports partner of UFC, right now. If you're a new customer, you can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you will take home $300 in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. When you sign up, make sure you use my promo code SONNEN. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Use your $300 in bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Pick 6 and have a shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. New customers, use my promo code SONNEN. Bet just $5 on any wager and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's promo code SONNEN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. I love Matt Brown. I gotta tell you, I'm such a mark. If I ever talk to you guys about Matt Brown, it like just puts a smile on my face right away. But Matt Brown has struck again. Matt Brown is one of the best sources you can go to if you guys aren't. And he's fun, and he's got balls, and he always has an opinion. But let me just share this with you. Matt Brown had a little advice for Jon Jones. Do not overplay your hand with the UFC. Yeah, that's right. What does Matt know? Why did he say that? Let's guess. Let's take a look at it, because we probably know what Matt knows. I don't think there's anyone out there that's got like this inside track. The best reporters, the Ariel Helwanis. I don't think anybody fully knows what's going on with Tommy John, but let's take a look at that. Why not to overplay your hand? Because you get stripped. It's as easy as that. It's a very interesting time in the UFC. On one hand, it is extremely clear what the fight is. It's extremely clear that everybody, without hiding, is admitting that everybody at the table's got a good hand. Tom's got a great hand. UFC's got a great hand. John has a great hand. But everybody admits it. That'll kill your hand. That'll kill your leverage. No, this has been really, everyone's been quite, this is the fight. But it's one of the few times in the UFC you don't need the fight. Guys, we just went through this. It was called Lopez Volkanovski. Guys, we're getting ready to go through this. It's called Oliveira Topuria. We don't have to do that at heavyweight. We already know who the belt goes to. We already have a belt out there. We have the belt on an active champion whose title right now is undisputed. And I'm just sharing with you, I don't believe Jon Jones has turned this fight down. I don't believe that. There's a story going around that is largely believed. In fact, Ariel even spoke about it to me yesterday. And Ariel nothing like this would come to Ariel's mouth unless he was not very confident in his source, of which he would have 3. But allegedly, the number that Jon wanted. Okay, and don't forget, this will be the biggest check they've ever written at the UFC. But Jon just wants that guarantee. And he doesn't have a past of selling huge pay-per-views. So when they tell him how great this is going to be, he's looking around going, hey, I've never had great before. I want my money up front. Okay. But what is believed in our industry is whatever that number was. And I believe that to be $12 million in case you're interested. Got my own sources. But the UFC said okay. And the problem with giving a guy that big of a quote, and here's what you really have to understand. Like Jon's check at the end of the night will be the biggest check that he's ever got. It'll be the biggest check anyone has ever got from the UFC. It will beat out Lesnar. It'll beat out George. Ronda's weren't as big as they embellished. It'll crush hers. Just sharing with you the reason you can't come in with a quote. And on the back end, you're safe. It's generous and it's a kind thing to do that you don't owe anybody, but you're also safe. Because it's the back end. All the numbers come out first. Now you're talking about a percentage of what's left. All right. Perfect world. Front end, not a perfect world. You're on the hook. And the one thing that happens, there has never been a fighter coming off a win who fought for less. You will never find a time in the UFC that a fighter is getting ready to go into a fight and he's coming off a win. Doesn't have to be a championship match. Straight up across the board, there's no fighter coming off a win who is now, regardless of opponent or circumstance, fighting for less than they just fought for. It's never happened. They've never asked it to happen. But they also know with human nature that can't happen. So let's say you got Jon Jones, you got Tom. Hey, you can come up with a crazy number. You just can't because it's one night only. Your problem, and the thing that you have to take into consideration, your problem when you're doing that is you're not making that deal for one time. That's how it's getting worded. That's what everybody at the table is acting like they're doing. But we all know if the guy wins, that deal, if not a greater deal, is now on the hook next time. Let's say that Derek Lewis is the guy. Derek Lewis versus Jon Jones. But you would see the difference. You would see the difference and the need for a different pay structure. Okay. I don't believe that Jon's turned it down. Even though Ariel's confirmed it, even though that's believed in our industry, I do not believe that Jon Jones got a phone call matching Jon Jones's demands and he said no. Not to mention the date that's currently being looked at is November at Madison Square Garden. So by the way, even that crazy, I need 180 days, like even all could be satisfied. And I do not believe that Jon Jones would play that game of chicken. Moreover, I don't believe that if he did, we wouldn't have heard about it. Moreover, I don't believe that if he did, we would have heard about it and he would have been stripped. If they believe it, if it's to the point that they're ready to move on, they've heard no's before. You get no's all the time. Turn those no's into yeses. It's to the point when they're done trying is when they go book a different fight for Tom. So what I'm being asked to believe is that they've done that, but did not strip Jon and did not do any of the things that you would do publicly to build a fight. There's ways, pressure points in industry history. There's ways that you would negotiate and try to get that done. But one of them, in the Hail Mary pass, is where you bring it to the public. And you let the guy, particularly with the fragile ego, you let the world know that we did everything. In fact, we did it his way. And he said no, and you would take that belt off of him. Now, Matt Brown telling Jon not to overplay his hand. If they were to move on, see, here's one of the things that Jon could think. I'm going to demand X. I'm going to price myself out of this fight. I'm going to demand X. They don't want to do it, go ahead and do it with somebody else. But everybody's going to know who the real champion is. Okay, fair enough. The problem with that, and that is true, the problem with it is no one cares. No one cares about true champion. True champion will be whoever wins between Ilya and Charles, just for example. Even though Islam never lost, even though Khabib never lost, even though Islam's still there, even though Khabib is still there, we don't care. And that's the part that the fighter always misses. Whoever's got the belt. Amanda is attempting to do that now. I love Amanda. I don't mean this as a negative, but she's attempting to do that now, and she's finding out. No, it doesn't matter. The division did not need. The division does not look at Juliana as the world champion. They do look at her as the number one champion. And Amanda could go, but I beat her. Doesn't matter. Well, but I never lost. I left with the belt. I gave it back. It doesn't matter. I don't make the rules of our industry. I'm just letting you know it would not matter. You'll never find an article written by anybody talking about Juliana and then put an asterisk or parentheses and go, well, Amanda was in this division and beat her and never lost. It just doesn't work that way. So, but I want you to stay with me. Try to picture this. If Jon Jones believes I can bluff, I can make these demands, I can bluff, and I can even lose. They can even take the belt and give it to Tom. I will still be the guy, and I can come in anytime I want and cash that in. Josh Barnett left the UFC and returned for the belt that he was never beaten for and never got that opportunity. Just give me an example. Ilia Topuria left the belt, and it did all work out with Islam leaving. It did work out, but he wasn't guaranteed a title fight. I'm just sharing, yeah, Jon is something special if Jon was to come back, but you're not going to book a guy if you don't think you can do business with him. It's not. This is the time. There was plays done for Francis, and let's do a co-promote. Let's get these guys together. But from the UFC standpoint, is we did everything. We even had a contract. We did everything. And we couldn't do business with him. And this is what Matt Brown's talking about. And I just don't believe we're at that point. I know we're being told we are. I don't believe it. Jon has done some very interesting interviews letting the world know he doesn't care. That's telling. If you know the psychology of Jon Jones, that is very telling. But I think if Jon was to play this, he would play it all the way. And to play it all the way would be if they moved on from you, if they booked Tom versus Surreal and they're going to do it for the world title and they're going to do it at the Mecca. If those things happened, you would not let them have their press conference. You would spoil it. How do you do that? You relinquish the belt. Real simple. I'm done, and it was my idea. Jon is doing interviews now so that if this card gets pulled, he can look as though, no, I was part of that and I was in on it. He's doing interviews trying to feather that nest. I don't think we're in that spot. I think it's going to be Tom versus Jon. I think Matt Brown is giving very good advice. And if Jon walks away from this, he's probably not going to walk back in. Conor McGregor did it, guys, and it wasn't for a belt. Conor McGregor had a fight, and it needed to happen. They did a series of tough. It was promised to the audience. A discolored pinky toe interrupted that fight, and he has never been booked again. According to Conor, he's never been called again. So I think it is all or none for Jon. I do. Tom has multiple people that he can fight, and will. Jon's just got one, and it's Tom. That's just the way it is. That's what interim champion means. He gets to fight the undisputed champion. And when Matt Brown's talking about Jon could overplay his hand, in case you're sitting at home going, how? Turn a fight down with a guy today, why would I ever think that you're going to accept the fight tomorrow? So why would I ever book the fight? Why would I not let my whole division and let them rise up and let them sort it out and make sure that we start with a willful army to begin with and nobody has to be drafted? I don't want to dangle a carrot. I want to know if you want to step in the cage. I want to know if you have an attitude like Tom, where you're still here for competitiveness. That's what Matt's talking about. If he pushes too hard and they move on around him, it is more likely than not they never come back to him. Not necessarily. Not necessarily.